The scent of autumn was a tangible thing in the hushed world of the Haversham Public Library. It was a perfume of aged paper, polished oak, and the faint, crisp ghost of fallen leaves that clung to the patrons who came in from the cool New England day. For Elara Vance, it was the smell of home. She moved through the towering shelves of the fiction section, her fingers trailing along the familiar spines. This was her evening ritual before closing. A final check, a quiet communion with the silent, slumbering stories. Her cart was nearly empty, save for a small stack of books left in the overnight return slot. The last book on the cart was an anomaly. It wasn't a glossy new bestseller or a well-loved paperback. It was a hardcover, bound in a faded moss-green cloth, its spine cracked with age. The gold-embossed title was almost illegible. The Oracle of Starlight by Alistair Finch. There was no barcode, only a pocket inside the front cover holding a brittle, yellowed checkout card. Elara's brow furrowed as she pulled it out. The last due date stamped on the card was October 17, 1973. 50 years ago, almost to the day. A soft gasp escaped her lips. A 50-year overdue book. It was a librarian's legend, a tall tale told during slow shifts. She fanned the pages, and a cloud of ancient dust, smelling of attics and forgotten things, made her sneeze. That's when she saw it. The book wasn't just old. It was altered. Neat, precise handwriting filled the margins. Not random scribbles, but annotations. Underlined passages were connected by a web of arrows and question marks. Words were circled. Refuge, silence, legacy. In the chapter titled The Whispering Vault, someone had drawn a small, intricate compass rose in the margin, its needle pointing decisively to the northeast. Her heart began to beat a curious, rhythmic thump against her ribs. This was more than just a late book. It was a message. As she carefully closed it, something shifted inside the back cover. Something solid, sitting down at her desk, the green-shaded lamp casting a warm pool of light. She gently pried at the glued-down endpaper. The old adhesive gave way with a soft crackle. Nestled in a hollow carved crudely into the pages was a key. It was small, made of tarnished brass, and surprisingly heavy for its size. Its head was not a simple loop, but an ornate, five-pointed star. It felt cold and significant in her palm. The checkout card. She had to look at it again. Who had taken this book out a lifetime ago? The name, written in a flowing cursive, was Eleanor Pembleton. The name was familiar, a whisper from Haversham's past. Eleanor Pembleton was the town's most famous cold case. A young woman from a well-to-do family who had vanished without a trace in the fall of 1973. The investigation had gone nowhere, and the mystery had slowly been buried under 50 years of leaf fall and quiet gossip. Elara's mind raced. This book was a piece of it. A piece of Eleanor. Just then, the library's front door creaked open, letting in a gust of chilly air and the rustle of leaves. An old man stood silhouetted against the twilight, leaning heavily on a polished wooden cane. He was tall and gaunt, dressed in a worn but neat tweed coat. His face was a roadmap of wrinkles, but his eyes, a pale, watery blue, were sharp and clear. He approached her desk slowly, the tap of his cane a solemn beat on the oak floor. He saw the book in her hands, and his steps faltered for a moment. I believe that's mine," he said, his voice a dry rustle, like the pages of the very book he was looking at. Or, rather, I'm returning it, on behalf of my family. Quote, Elara's fingers tightened around the key hidden in her lap. You're Arthur Pembleton, she said, the pieces clicking into place. Eleanor's younger brother. A sad, slow smile touched his lips. I am. You've done your homework. I see. Most young people wouldn't know that name. He gestured to the book. I found it while clearing out the last of my mother's estate. The old Pembleton house is finally being sold. I thought it was time it came home." Quote. Elara looked from his weary, grief-etched face down to the annotated novel. She made a decision. Sliding the brass key from her lap, she placed it on the desk, right on top of Eleanor's name on the checkout card. The old man's breath hitched. The color drained from his face, and his knuckles turned white where he gripped his cane. He stared at the key as if seeing a ghost. "Mr. Pembleton," Elara said softly, her voice barely a whisper in the silent library. "This was in the book. Did you know it was there?" Quote. He didn't answer for a long time. He just stared, his eyes glistening. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with an emotion she couldn't quite name. "No," he whispered. "I didn't, but I know what it is." He reached out a trembling, age-spotted hand, but stopped just short of touching it. "It's the key to my father's old study. A room in our house that was sealed shut the day after Eleanor disappeared. My father, he never spoke of her again. He had the door locked, and the key vanished." Quote. He finally looked up at Elara, his pale eyes boring into hers with a sudden, fierce intensity. "Miss Vance," he said, his voice gaining a sliver of its former strength. "That room has been a tomb for 50 years. And my sister, she left us a key." Quote.